X-Men vs. Street Fighter is the third game in the Versus series, released in 1996. Following the release of Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter refines the systems of the previous game, Marvel Superheroes, includes Capcom characters in the roster for the first time, using fighters from Street Fighter Alpha while giving them enhanced techniques, and adds the variable system, moving the focus of the series from 1v1 combat to 2v2 tag battles. This establishes the gameplay format that will continue throughout the Versus series, making X-Men vs. Street Fighter the first game in the series to be definitively known as a hyper fighter. The basics of combat have already been explained in depth with the previous two games, and will stay the same for a few games, so there's no need to go into as much detail. However, because this is the first tag game, and some may consider this the first real Versus game, I'll do a quick recap for those who are starting with this part. If you want to know more, check out the video for Marvel Superheroes later. For everyone else, skip ahead to this time in the video, because you've heard all of this before. X-Men vs. Street Fighter borrows from the combat system of Street Fighter, using 3 punch attacks and 3 kick attacks, each divided into 3 categories: light, medium, and heavy. They change the speed, range, and power of your normal attacks. You have standing, crouching, and jumping normals, along with command normals and unblockable throws. Perform throws by tapping left or right when near the opponent, along with a specific medium or heavy attack button. Hold left or right to walk forwards or backwards, press down to crouch, and up to jump. Quickly press down, then up to super jump. Perform quick horizontal movement by quickly tapping left or right twice to dash across the screen. Some characters can jump off walls, jump multiple times, fly, and air dash. Combined dashes, jumps are your character's unique air movement for maximum screen control. Hold back to block while standing, crouching, and even while jumping, and, new to this game, use advancing guard to push the enemy away. More on that later. Recover when knocked down by rolling, and tech throws to neutralize them. Special moves and super moves are character-specific attacks that damage the opponent even when they're blocking, and are usually performed with multiple directional inputs and the press of one or more attack buttons right after you input the last direction. For example, with Ryu, try down, down forward, forward, plus 1 punch button for a special move, and if you have 1 or more levels of meter, press 2 punches instead. In all of the Versus games, combo is the key, and combos are easy thanks to the chain combo system, also known as Magic Series. Hit the opponent with a light or medium normal attack, then follow up with a different, stronger normal, with a lot less worry about precise timing compared to other fighting games, as long as you follow up with the right attack. Combine this open combo system with the faster free movement options to take your opponents for a wild ride. This covers the basic mechanics found in the Versus series. Now for controls and mechanics unique to X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and aspects of this game that will change throughout the Versus series. This is the first game in the series to have 2 vs. 2 tag combat, known as the variable system. Matches are no longer split into rounds, and end when both characters on one team are knocked out. Whenever your fighter takes damage, some of their health bar will turn red. This red health will slowly recover back to normal when that fighter is switched out with your partner. However, if you switch back to them for any reason, including after your partner has been knocked out, all of their recoverable health will be lost immediately. Also, after a knockout, the next character will always jump out in the same way, immediately putting them on defense. As a beginner, this isn't too bad, since you can still attack or block to protect yourself. However, experienced players will have plans to make the choice for you. There are multiple ways to tag in your partner. Press heavy punch and heavy kick at the same time to perform the variable attack, and have your partner dive in with a flying kick that knocks your opponent away. Be careful though, your point character may be invincible when tagging out, but your secondary is not when tagging in. Plus, after a variable attack, your fighter always performs a taunt animation that can't be interrupted, which means if your variable attack gets blocked, you're in trouble. You'll have to find a safe time among the chaos of the fight to tag safely, or use one of the other variable systems, which can be performed offensively or defensively. After enough attacks have been used, your character's meter will level up. This meter is now known as the hyper combo gauge, and you can use 1 or more to activate your character's hyper combo, or to use variable system techniques. Offensively, you can use the variable combination. Using 2 levels of your hyper combo gauge, both of your characters will perform one of their hyper combos, filling the screen with attacks. Activate this by pressing down, down forward, forward, plus heavy punch and heavy kick. Defensively, you can perform the variable counter, pressing back, down plus heavy punch and heavy kick while blocking on the ground. Brings your partner character in to perform a special move while invincible. Just be warned that this invincibility doesn't last during the entire attack, and during either of these options, you can still be hit. Every character on the main roster has one main costume and an alternate color for mirror matches. Well, almost everyone. For every character, all you have to do is press the punch button to pick their primary color and the kick button to pick their second color. I would have said this is the first game in the series to have random characters select, but it turns out the method I found out for activating this also works in Marvel Superheroes. Just hold left or right for more than 2 seconds to activate it, then press a button to pick your character. After this, you'll have 2 choices. Once again, you'll be choosing between normal and turbo. However you choose to practice is up to you, but in a real match, you should always pick turbo. And now, in the arcade settings menu, you'll have multiple turbo speeds to choose from. You can also turn on the automatic setting, which gives you the choice of automatic guard. Automatic guard by itself works the same as the last game. It doesn't activate unless the opponent actually hits you, activates in any situation as long as you're not already attacking, but every type of attack that hits you causes chip damage. But there are some changes outside of the block itself. The tutorial mode for Marvel Superheroes, which consisted of a few matches against the computer that gave you advice before and after each match, no longer exists, but you won't miss out on this advice entirely. During arcade mode, you'll also receive advice after losing each match, during the continue screen. Automatic mode also gives you a bit of a boost when it comes to performing aerial wave combos. When you press light punch and light kick at the same time, your character will automatically perform one of your attacks that act as a launcher, then they'll automatically jump and perform a follow-up attack. I can't exactly say how useful this is because of how short the combo is and forces down the maximum level of your hyper combo gauge from 3 to 2, but it does give you an idea of which attack to use in order to launch your opponent. It's also worth noting that it seems like you can perform it after any of your normal attacks on the ground. And again, in order to make dashing a bit easier, assign a button with a shortcut that presses all 3 buttons for you. Super jumps and all of the air combo systems for Marvel Superheroes work the same here, except for one detail. During these aerial wave combos, you can perform a flying screen knockdown after both super jumps and normal jumps, after doing enough hits before doing the attack that causes a knockdown. Special moves work the same. You can still cancel into them after any type of normal attack. And I guess you should consider the variable attack a special move as well, because you can do the same with them. Again, the name of super moves has been changed from infinity combos to hyper combos, but instead of different characters having different maximum levels of meter, every character and every team can have a maximum of 3 levels, as long as they're not using automatic mode, in which case they only have 2. In this game, all hyper combos only cost 1 level, yes, even that one, and all of them are some form of attack. No X abilities, and especially no gem abilities. Unless you want to count Rogue's hyper combo as an X ability, which, I mean, you can. But for everyone else, it's strictly about doing damage, and some of them can still do it a bit better than others. If some characters are close enough when they activate their super, and you weren't already blocking before the screen freezes, then it's already too late for you to block. But if you are blocking, there is a new mechanic for you to look out for: the advancing guard. At any point in time while you're blocking, hold forward and press all 3 punches to put your opponent far away. Infinity counter has been changed to variable counter, which still costs 1 level to use and tags in your partner, and it can be used on the ground while blocking normally, and even after an advancing guard. Rolling off the ground is the same as before: press back, then down, plus an attack button. But just in case you're only familiar with newer games in the series, in older games, any attack that reaches your opponent while they're on the ground can hit them. Tech hits to escape throws are still performed the same: press back or forward, and any medium or heavy attack. But what has changed is how the throw does damage. Throws used to do damage in 2 distinct parts, so if you failed to escape the initial grab, you could still tech off the ground to avoid the second part of the damage. But now all of the damage happens during the grab itself, and the purpose of performing a ground tech is to avoid getting hit while on the ground. But there are still throws that launch your opponent into the air, so you can combo them before they have a chance to roll. Draw games work the same as the last game, and you can still cancel your win pose by pressing start or select after the match, so there's really nothing worth mentioning here, and until there is something worth mentioning, I won't be bringing this up again. The command for taunts has now gone back to the standard single button press, now that this isn't used in order to switch between gems. Just press start or select depending on which version you're playing. But there is a slight nerf to taunting, because it doesn't build meter for you in this game. Since the character portraits have been changed, there's no visual way to tell how close characters are to being stunned. Although this does bring up something else I haven't mentioned directly. Dizzy in this series works the same way it does in classic Street Fighters. Mashing attack buttons in directions repeatedly will cause you to recover from stun faster. And with that, we're back to the last section, regarding chain combos. Each game in the Versus series has some form of chain combos, also known in these games as Magic Series. I said before that some combo routes will become standard across the cast in future games, and it's finally happened. In this one, there's only 3 types of combo routes. However, be warned that some characters in this game don't have chain combos at all, so if you're new to this series, I would just focus on the ones that do. Characters with the first route can combo with all 6 of their attack buttons, starting with light punch into light kick, into medium punch into medium kick, then heavy punch to heavy kick. On the ground, you can switch between standing or crouching attacks, and you can skip ahead to any of the buttons in the chain. With the second route, some characters can combo either of their light attack buttons into either of their medium attack buttons, then either of their heavy attack buttons, with heavy attacks ending the chain. And with the third route, some characters can only combo their light attacks into medium or heavy attacks, and no matter which one they choose, that ends the chain, usually meaning they can only combo 2 attacks. However, keep in mind that regardless of what chain combo they have on the ground, they'll have a different magic series after a normal jump, and many characters, even some without a ground chain, can still perform the 6-hit series after a super jump. So no matter who you choose or how you choose to play, have fun, thanks for watching, and get ready for a new challenger.